All right, so here we are in Capture One, and I'm going to be using Capture One and Photoshop at the same time. But in this class, we'll focus on correction of colors, correction of exposure, and correction of textures. So this we actually explain skin corrections like blending of tones and also doing frequency separation to correct the textures and the rest before we move on. So let's before that, let me explain how to get images into Capture One. Well, a lot of people find it difficult to use the Capture One and to get images into Capture One. So what you just need to do is to arrange a folder where you want to store your images like this. You can just save a folder, a new folder, like normal saving of a new folder, and then you name it, and then you just drag it. Once you drag it, hold it like this and drag it inside of Capture One, it's going to automatically bring that image out and you're going to see it on the browser. So once you see it here, you can just select, and whichever one you select is just going to show up right here in the image, in the interface. Like, okay, so all you do it like this. You go ahead, go to import. Import. Once you click on import, the import dialog is going to come up. So if the import dialog come up, you select the folder. You come here, click on choose folder, and then you select. For me, I have a folder on the background which I just created, so I'm going to go to the folder, and I guess the folder I named it image. So let's look for image, look at it. So just click on it, and then you can just select everything holding down shift. Select the first one, hold down shift, select the second one, and click review for import, and Capture One is going to bring it. You can select everything like this and then click on import all four images, and it's going to import all four images like this. So you can see it just did the same thing we did. So you see that dialog box over there, and then you can select whichever one you want to select. So now that's how to get images into Capture One. And here we have library, and I just want to explain few things you are going to see, because a lot of people complain they don't know how to use it. So we have dialog box. If you don't see anyone, you can click on this three icon and you can add tab to tab, the export and all this. You can quickly add them. If you cannot see the adjust and refine, but the one you are going to use mostly is the adjust panel, and under the adjust panel you have all this. So yours might be at the left, and you can arrange it. You can bring it towards the right, or just interchange all these things. You can also move them around. You can see I can move them around. You can place them inside of each other. So I want to take it up. Take this downwards. Okay, so just like that, I'm going to take these type brushes towards this place. So if you want to add more of these ones, you can go to views, window. If you want to change your workspace, you can change your workspace like this. If you want to create floating toolbar, all these things, curve is, you can see curve right here. So if you want to add, there are more down. You can add all those things: sharpening, spot remover, white balance. I think we have white balance already, so you get the idea. Now let's quickly look at some of the tools, retouching tools you are going to use most often. Okay, so under the layer, the tools are already there under the layers. It's just like Photoshop. Okay, so we have the brush tool, which is you can actually use in selecting a particular side. You see me use it. So if I click on the brush tool, I can draw a mask like this. Just select, and for you to see it, you need to hit M on the keyboard, letter M. So you're going to see the mask. Let me undo that. Now if I want to, I can just keep drawing, and that's if I want to see hide the mask, I can hit letter M. I'll hide the mask, M, bam. That's all. So I can erase this mask by choosing this one, this eraser tool, this erase mask. You can erase the mask, and that, it's all gone. So one best good thing about Capture One is the brushes we have. We have this normal brush, but this magic brush, this one, helps to select a particular type of color. So if I want to select just the black hair, all this black hair, I just need to click on it, and Capture One is going to automatically select all the black hair. So you can just keep clicking on it, and it's just going to select the hair for you very fast, very fast. You can see it's a very good one when you want to work with. So I just selected the hair, and if I want to delete the hair with the magic eraser tool, so let's say I selected this face, I can just click on it and it's going to delete this particular color from the hair, and there we go. So you can see it's a very useful tool. So let's clean everything we selected with the razor brush, and or you can just simply do Ctrl Z. So that's one of the two you have to use. And the next one is this magic brush. Okay, I've explained that, the spot remover and the clone stamp tool. So the spot remover acts like this, it removes spots just like the spot healing tool brush. Let's see if we have an example. Okay, let's say we want to remove the eyes or this line. You can just just drag it and it's going to pick a place. And one good thing, it creates a layer on its own, in an heal layer, and if you hit M on the keyboard, it's going to hide it. So but you can see the effect. Now you can move this thing around and find a sweet spot for it. Okay, so that's how it works. And then you just click. Whenever you click, it gives you a brush, and you can start moving it around to find a sweet spot for it. And we have this clone. You can clone the eyes. So hold down Alt, sample that area, and you can move it around, and it's going to clone it. Don't forget, you can still move it around as well. If I want to clone the mouth, and that's how you use that too. So Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z. Let's reset everything we have there. If you want to remove a layer, you just need to hit this minus button. It's going to take it out. This one, you can hit the minus button and it's going to take it out. If you want to add a layer, you can add with this plus button a new layer and a new fill layer. So we're going to use that a lot, the new empty layer and the new fill layer. The new fill layer is going to create a mask, overall mask. So hit M, you're going to see overall mask. Let me delete that. The new empty layer is going to create an empty mask, but a new layer. So hit M on the keyboard. You can see nothing is going on as I'm hitting M on the keyboard. So that's for that. I'm going to remove it now. Let's go ahead. So those are the tools in the layers you are going to use a lot. While all this one right here, this one is to flip. If you want to flip the picture and move all those things. And this one is the crop tool. If you want to crop your image, this is your move tool. This is also your move tool, your panning tool. This is for zooming and the rest. So I don't use this that much. Why this one? I don't also use this. This is a sampler tool. You sample color, you pick a color for either your white balance, your haze, and the rest of those are inside it already. So I'm going to explain that one later on. So what do we have here? This is just a copy adjustment. This is used for let's say I make an adjustment to this image. I'm just going to copy the adjustment and click on the other images and come back to it and click on apply adjustment. So it's going to copy the adjustment, maybe the color grading on this image, and then it's going to apply it to this image. It's actually very useful in retouching or color grading a lot of photos when you have the same photo or batch photo retouching. It's actually good for that. Now let's go back to this one. Now after that, we have the white balance. The white balance, we have this one, this sampler tool. You're going to see it in almost all the tools. Okay, so almost all the drop tool. So we have this white balance, this sampler tool. It's just sample a color, and then when you click it, it's just works fine. So Ctrl Z to undo that. And we have the exposure. Now the exposure carries just three. we have the exposure, the contrast, the brightness, and the saturation. Now we also have the eye dynamic range. This is, you are going to come across this tool even in Photoshop. It's there, the highlight, shadows, white and black. Okay, these tools are very important when you have a very bright image like this bright image compared to this one. So this image is actually bright and it has A's. You can see A's. So you can not just use this exposure and then start to bring it up and down. There are times you use the exposure, the contrast as well. It's not actually what you just need to just use, but sometimes I do use the brightness. Take the brightness up, take the brightness down. But even if I take the brightness down, you can see some white, as if they use a white filter on it. So that's Ace. You can bring down the saturation of the overall image and bring up the saturation of the overall image. So but where I want to emphasize more is the eye dynamic range. The eye dynamic range, we have highlight, so you can just affect only the highlight and you see nothing is affected, just the highlights. You can affect the white in the image, which is just the sky. You can see you can affect the black, which is our clothes. You can take it up and take it backwards. You can affect the shadows, which will be the midtones. So bring it down, bring it upwards. So this is very useful too in retouching images and also doing some color correction, lighting correction. So that's, I'm going to use that one a lot. These two: exposure, eye dynamic range, white balance, so layers. And I'm not using smart adjustments. You know how to use curve. Okay, this is also, you can use this one for color grading, you know, and all those stuff. You can create your S curve and add contrast. You can have, this is RGB, this is Luma. This Luma affect, you know what Luma affects? Light. Okay, so you can see it's affecting the light. You can just create an X curve, take it up like this. So like I said, you can reset with this button and it's going to reset. You can have the red, green and blue channel under the curve. So if you want to give some contrast to the blue, you can do that. Color editor, which I'm going to emphasize more in color grading, but you're going to see me use the skin tones more. This is just to sample the skin tones. So just sample, it's going to give you a range of the skin tones. If I click on the blue, it's going to give me a range on the blue. If I click on green, it's going to give me a range on the green. So you can change the hue of those green and change it to yellow and whatever. You can select the skin. You can change the hue of the skin, change it to yellow or change it to whatever you want to change it to. So we're going to talk about that later on in the image. So I'm going to reset it. We had the advanced. The advanced is advanced of this basic tab. This one has limited color, but this advanced have a lot of colors. So this circle, you just need to select this icon as well and then select, and now you can mess around with the hue as well. Go up, come down, and that's the advanced tab, the saturation of it and blah blah blah. So that's for the advanced. So you need to master the basic, and after you master the basic, you go to the advanced, and after the advanced, you go to the skin tones. So but I'm going to be using the skin tones a lot in correction. Okay, so we're going to correct skin tones, correct colors. So color balance, this we're not going to do that until we get to the color grading part. So this is your color grading, color grading. I don't use black and white, but when the need comes for it, I use it. Clarity, it's actually structure. You use the structure. I use structure a lot. I don't use the clarity because the sharpness is always too much. So I use the structure. That's sometimes if I want to. The haze, now this brings me to the white thing you see on the image. Now it's actually a scattered particles. So if I take it up, you can see what's going on. If I bring it down, you can see it's adding it. So all you just need to do is just to add it, take it up, and we remove that white settings from the image. Okay, so one thing you need to do after making an adjustment, your vignette, you know what vignette means: taking it forward, add white vignette, taking it backward, add white vignette. And you can quickly see your before and after by clicking on this one. So before, this is after, this is before, this is after, this is before. So you can click it over here, and I can reset this by double clicking on it. We have style brushes and we have style presets. Okay, so this type preset is more like your preset in Camera Raw preset, and the rest type of presets. So you can save lots here in Capture One, but you can actually create presets you can apply to other images. So that is that. Now on the other hand, let's open up the layer and the histogram. So the histogram gives you an information about the the image. So if I go to the brightest side, it's telling me that, oh, this is the brightest side. You can see the graph, the way it looks. Yeah, it's very bright. So you can turn on the exposure warning. This is actually telling me that this place is exposed, to expose. So if I turn it on, you can see that it's already showing to expose. Now that's just the tools I'm just explaining the tools. So so I'll go further in explaining how to color correct now. Color correct, exposure correct, and texture correct. Okay, so since we know what the histogram does, it's actually telling you that on the dark side we have more blues, on the little of the highlights we have more greens. You can see the highlight here has more greens at the tip. It's also telling us that down below the highlights we have red and we have some of the greens. So the blue is occupying more of the shadows, the dark side. So I'm going to close that histogram, and for the layers now. The layers, if you want to make an adjustment, please create new layers. I can just create an empty layer which is non-destructive, instead of destroying the background, which is the image itself. So I can just make an adjustment. Let's say we want to turn off the exposure. Let's hit M on the keyboard. So this is affecting everything. You can bring down the eye dynamic range like this, and maybe probably bring down the white. We can go ahead and go to the haze and remove some haze from the image, like more of the haze. And we can also just brighten up the image a little bit. So those are just little adjustments. We can create get the white balance by clicking on it, and it's gonna give us this. You can as well again create another new fill layer, and this time around that's saturation. Okay, so that's just the adjustment, and you can click before and after and all this stuff like that. You can go to the color editor, go to the basic tab, select the maybe the blues, which is going to select. Just click on this one, select the blues, and probably desaturate the blues. Go to the cyan, desaturate the cyan, and all of that. You can see what's happening to the image now. So let's see before the blues and all of that are all gone. Okay, and the green, you can change the hue of the green towards the yellow, and just all the stuff like that. So this is a before and this is after. So those are the tools, the way you're going to use the tools. And also we have this refine tool where we talk about the sharpening, the spots remover, and all this. So we're going to look more on the how to use this Capture One in doing some retouching. So I just explained all the tools in Capture One you're going to come across when doing retouching job. Thank you. So let's go into details how to use it.